Welcome, welcome. Galapal di Ishids Chelt Adaque de Ichu. Danisitan Pista. Nautium. The Chelita PM. Welcome. Awesome. Thank you so much. We have Noah Toby and his crew over there, and we just raise our hands and say Haishka Siam. Thank you so much for the opening song, opening us up in a good way. And we thank all the singers there, the younger generations that are stepping forward and carrying these songs forward, making new songs for our communities. And that's an important thing that we're doing here today is we're going to be talking about, things that are heavy on our minds for all of us is the struggle with the COVID-19, the coronavirus. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of healing songs that are going to be coming out from these young ones and all of our prayer warriors. And so we just thank these ones that come forward to sing a song and open us up in a good way. And we want to welcome everyone that's tuning in right now. Another episode of One from the Heart, a production of the Children of the Setting Sun Productions. And my name is Danisitan, my ancestral name, and my
allowing to access your camera
Vendiola
from device menu.
We have a lot of our elders here, and we're so very fortunate to have them on here with us tonight. And this is really traditional in a digital age. We're bringing our people together the best way we can. And so we appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in and trying to pull together, as they say on the canoe. We need to pull together and be strong together for one another. So this episode, this is the second episode, and we're focusing on the COVID-19 coronavirus. And we're very honored that the Northwest Indian Health Board has stepped forward and is a sponsor for these programs, this series of programs. And the intention is to get the word out about COVID-19 and how what we can do, during the holidays and these big gathering times, how to remain safe and take care of each other. So we're brought folks together on here tonight, folks from Swinomish and folks from Tulalip, and we've got our Lummi relatives here. And we even brought in a father Pat is here in the audience. So we appreciate everybody coming forward to just do what we can. And we know that there's a lot of struggles out there. And I am feeling a lot of good energy already. And we hope that we can project that out to everyone who's tuning in, to keep each other safe and take care of one another and hold each other up. So we're going to hear a lot of good words tonight. folks who are, addressing, fighting, being strong, putting the good work out to address this pandemic. Very something most of us never have lived through before. So once again, we just say thank you for being here today, and we're really honored, and we hope that we can give you something that's really important with being extra safe and guarding against the hardships of these holidays. Of course, we're saying the challenge of not gathering together, it makes it hard for us, and so it can cause a depression. It can cause hardship, it can cause stress. And so our presenters tonight are going to be speaking on a little bit of that to try to give you some ideas of how to address those things during this hard time. So with that, we once again, we thank our opening singers, Noah Toby and his crew that opened us up in a good way. And I'm very honored to introduce two people who are very important in my life. Happen to be my mom and my older sister, and they've been on the program before, and so we're thankful that they're able to join us again. And we want to give a special shout out as Father Pat, as we were getting ready for the show tonight. He said that my mom, who celebrated her 83rd birthday yesterday. So, Haishka, what a blessing we have. But Father Pat said that that's the big leagues now. I'm not sure when the big leagues start, but 83, yeah, definitely
start at 83.
Starts at 83. So I want to bring my mom and my sister, Hugalitsa. Both of them carry the name Hugalitsa, their ancestral name, and from Swinomish. And my mom has another name, the same name that I carry, the male version. And her second name is Donicia. And so Diane and Shelly Vendiola from Swinomish. And I'm just so delighted to see you again 2 days in a row now, 3 days in a row, or 3 times in 2 days. And we're trying to get the word out about this, the holiday season and COVID-19, the coronavirus. And our family has been using some ways to, address not being able to be together in person. And so it'd be great to hear, and then any other ideas of how you can, help folks who are tuning in to see their way through with dealing with things like depression or frustration, and just appreciate any words that you can share.
Well, do you want me to start? I was thinking about what I would be saying today after Daryl called, and I just kept thinking. I'm half Filipino and half Swinomish. My mother met my father in the farm fields when her whole family used to go and pick crops. And it was the same thing with Filipinos who came here to get an education and found that it was too expensive. So they became laborers, and that's where they met anyway, in a farm field. And I was raised in Chinatown in Seattle. And the Filipino way, even though I was the oldest, I'm a girl. I was a girl, and I still am a girl. But my father, his belief was that you cannot go out in the world as a female. So I had to wait for my brother, who's 2 years younger than me. So I started first grade when I was 7, and my brother started kindergarten. And the school was about maybe 7.5 blocks from where we lived, right in the middle of Chinatown. And you never think about the You know, you have problems. You have problems when your parents are there with you, but you never really feel overwhelmed or scared because your parent is there. And so when it was our first day of school, my mother and my father, first my father said, make sure your shoes are tied before you leave. Make sure your shoes are tied and make sure you know where you're going. And my mother walked us to school. And at those days, they never used to have stoplights or stop signs or anything. And the two main streets that we had to cross were not really as busy as now, but there were cars going back and forth. And so my mother, she told me, you know, don't cross in the middle of the block. Go to the end of the block and look both ways. And she came with us. She said, look both ways and then hold hands. Give me your hand. We'll hold hands together and we'll cross because it's dangerous. And so we crossed that way. And she walked with us the first 5 days of school. But then when it's your turn and it's just my brother and me have to go, we have to remember, look at your shoes, make sure they're tied, know where you're going. And when you're close to danger, hold hands, be together, look both ways. And so I thought of that story because, you know, when it's Christmas, it's really busy and there's all kinds of things to get done and hurry, rush here, there, wrap that, wrap this, decorate that. And we do it. But when there's danger, when there's a pandemic, it seems a little worse than it typically would be. So what we have to do, what I thought to do when we first, as a family, back in March, is we need to hold hands and we need to do it in the best way that we can. And so that is how we started our weekly connections, our what we call our family circle. And sometimes we have, you know, like our neighbor or one of the kids' girlfriend or boyfriend, and they join us, and it's a good thing because we're all feeling, we all have a heart, and this pandemic, it shows us that we're all connected. So we better hold hands the best way we can. So that's what I thought of when Daryl said, well, you know, maybe you could just talk a little bit about how it is with you. And that's the way it is. Even at 83, I think 83, your vision gets wider though, but you know, I'll not brag about that since Father Pat's almost as old as me. So, so anyway, that's my story.
Thank you, Mom. And Shelley, you want to add anything to that? Any ideas or thoughts about keeping
Sure.
ourselves safe?
Thank you all. First of all, I feel very honored to be back to speak on Children of the Setting Sun, or my cousin Daryl here. Thank you for calling on us, inviting us, and Michael for emceeing tonight. Kind of feels like family. So it's always a good thing to do to come together in any way we can. And I just really felt supported and safer when Mom suggested that we use Zoom as a way to connect in shelter in place mode that we're in. And, you know, it's this thing about uncertainty. the fear that comes with the unknown, and we can really easily go to that place of doom and gloom and the sky is falling. And when I think about a time like this, I think of those kind of stories that I heard when I was little about the sky falling, and even Toxic Blue talked a lot about the story of pushing up the sky, and in the Lushootseed term, it's Yahau. And I think about that a lot lately whenever I gather in this space, in this virtual reality space that is squared off and everybody gets to be in a box. But I like to think of it, and I always call this time that we're in together in this space a circle, because it feels better, even though we're visually seeing each other in squares. I still think of it as a circle because it helps to ground me to think that way, to think of things in a circle, because circles are sacred. And whenever we gather together as a family, and we have circles, whenever there is something that is to be celebrated, or whenever there is something to be honored, or whenever there's some crises going on, we gather together in a circle and we just talk about our feelings, our thoughts, just to support one another, to show each other our love, even if it's just a hug, because everybody has the option to pass if they don't have something to share, or if they don't feel comfortable, or if they're not sure of what to say. But I'm just feeling really blessed to have a family that's willing to do that, to share, because in that sharing in our community at Swinomish, there's the saying that is built upon our traditional values of compassion. And so we often hear, if we were gathering in person at our monthly community dinners, for example, loving, caring, and sharing. And that's become like a mantra. It's become like a way of thinking that's coming back to us. And it's what I'm reminded of in this compassion is I'm reminded of that Huchusada, and it's traditions of the heart. And so when I think of traditions of the heart, I think of compassion, and I think of people like one of my teachers, my other teachers, it's Thich Nhat Hanh. He's right up there with Mahatma Gandhi and, the Dalai Lama. And so when I find myself in this time, I call on those teachings. And it's not unlike going out to the cedar tree in front of our house that Dad planted and gathering some cedar when I feel like, oh, we need to cleanse, we need to burn, we need to steam up that cedar, we need to bathe in that cedar, or we need to burn that cedar, like I'm using the medicine that was put here for us to pick up. And I feel like I've been doing a lot more of that lately. One, because I get to work at home. And I look at that as an opportunity, because if I was driving to work and in an office space or away from home, I probably wouldn't be able to connect with the cedar tree. And whenever I get to gather from that tree, I feel closer to Dad, who's in the spirit world. He's crossed over, and I feel close, and that's grounding for me. Sometimes I sit under it when it's really heavy. And it's like going to the water. I was just in a circle today earlier, and we were talking about, the safe places. Where are those places, our favorite places? Where are they? If we envision that, if we draw it out. And I found myself drawing the cedar trees and the mountain and the water, and really describing, those places as medicine. And so oftentimes when I'm feeling heavy, I need to go to those places. I need to be next to the cedar or next to the water and pray. So I find that every morning when we pray, that's really helpful. And Mom and I do Qigong. So I had to take a little bit of a break because of my back, because, you know, I have to be a little bit more gentle in that. But I'm finding that Qigong is really also very grounding as well. It's like meditation in motion. And it's a good way to start the day because our Qigong teacher, her name is Marissa, and you Google her Qigong online. And she has a very gentle way of just describing, you know, us in this meditative space, envisioning ourselves with nature, of nature, in nature, always reminding us, you know, and to me, it's like picking up that medicine I was talking about earlier, like the cedar. It's like that. So I'm finding that I'm doing more of these things while I'm at home, and maybe making the time for that self-care, making the time to be just a little bit more compassionate with oneself, you know, I think is really grounding me so that, you know, I'm here with mom. We're just doing the best we can to keep going because we really don't know what the next day is going to bring. But having those prayers, having that time for self-care, having the time to ground ourselves with intention, whatever that looks like, I find that that's really helpful. And it's not unlike us when our family gets together every Sunday. We had to switch it from noon to 2 to be in this kind of virtual space together. And that's really grounding because that feeds my spirit as well. And that helps me. It's a good way to start off the week. I'll just say that. And so we are living in a somewhat privileged world because we get to do that. We get to be in this virtual space. But I know that there's a lot of folks that don't have this virtual space, a lot of students that are really struggling. And I keep those folks in my prayer because we don't know, like I said, what the next day is going to bring. But my hope is that, you know, with the funds that are coming from this Corona time, that we can get really creative in what really is the emergent need. What is really the emergent need? And I know that we've had to shuffle as a tribe with our programming to support how do we keep going in Corona time. And so I know that there's a lot of folks that could speak to that who are going to be speaking on this space as well. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to take up too much more time, but yeah, so again, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Sister Shelley and Mom. And when you were talking, Mom, it reminded me of Vi Hilbert. And Vi Hilbert, I remember her one time saying that even the some of the shortest stories have the strongest meanings and teachings, and it's what you take out of it. And I really appreciated how you talked about a simple thing like holding hands, and I never really thought of it that way. I mean, I know we gather every week, but it is our way to try to hold hands with each other, to try to comfort each other and lift each other up. And so, you know, thank you for sharing that, and you know, thank you, Shelley, for sharing all your words and tips and ideas. You know, Qigong sounds like martial arts. I'll have to YouTube it. I don't know a lot about it, but I get is it like Tai Chi?
Yeah.
It was what Tai Chi was born from.
Right on.
Slower.
Oh, slower. Do you guys fight each other?
No,
Oh, okay.
I was doing it forever. I've been doing it forever.
Oh, so you're the black belt, and you're and
Yeah.
Shelley's the Karate Kid. Well, thank you so much for your words, and we have lots of folks and I'm looking at the live stream, and the internet is about ready to break. So I'm going to bring on some of these other folks to come on and speak, because the number one superstar is Father Pat. Father Pat's here. Thank you for being on here tonight, and everybody's sending their love. And this is really a great reunion, just some of my most favorite people here on this live stream now, so I'm anxious to get them on. And one of my good friends, Barb Juarez, her and I have worked for many years together, whether as co-MCs of conferences and or coaching. I was her assistant for coaches when my daughter was really young. So I want to bring Barb on, and then Father Pat, and then also we have Danita Washington. It'd be great to hear a few words from each of you. So Barb, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Shelley and Diane. Just to be in this circle, it just is so uplifting. And so I really hope that we're able to share, spread this love. One of the things that when you were talking, I remembered when Michael was talking about the conferences that we did with Northwest Indian College. One time I shared a book with Diane, and I asked Diane to read it in front of her boys. And it's one of my favorite books in the world. When you talk about some of the self-care that you're praying, that you're holding hands, you have such an amazing, kind heart, and that you have shared that with your children who continue to share that with the world. And so I totally am in honor to be in your presence. The book that I remember sharing with you and asking you to read it out loud was called I Will Love You Forever. And it's about a lady having some crazy wild boys. And so I know that your life has been filled with crazy wild boys, and you have been so successful, not only with Shelley by your side, but with all of your children. And what an honor. So I just want to put out there how much I appreciate being in the circles with you and your family. And the feeling of having Danita close by and having Father Pat close by is just so incredibly wonderful. It just reminds me that we need to be kind. I think that's one of the most important things that I feel when I'm in your presence, is the kindness that you bring to the world, the kindness that you talk about, the elements, the earth, the trees, the water, that we have to take time out to appreciate all of that, not only family, but all of these things. And that's what COVID has actually provided us with, the opportunity to be aware of our surroundings, and to be outside and to pay attention to that, to the beauty, the magnificence of the living in the Northwest. How blessed are we to be living right here and having all those things we need. So I just absolutely appreciate your presence. So, and I couldn't not say anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barb. We have, before I turn it over to Father Pat or Danita to say some words, I also want to let folks know that we do have our Tulalip relative, Deborah Parker, who's also been able to join us, and we're so glad to have so many tribes represented here tonight, and it'd be great to hear some good words from her in the second part of our show here. Father Pat or Danita, would love to hear from you.
I'd love to have Danita go first. Mike.
Father Pat punts to Danita.
Thank you.
I see we were working on it, trying to figure it out. I'm just on my phone.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Can you?
Yeah.
What comes to mind? Good evening to all of you. It is a good thing to be spending time with each one of you this evening. But what comes to mind for me is the old traditional way of the people, especially at the Longhouse. This was their time to go within anyway. It was just the way of life. And so people, everything you're describing that I'm listening to Diane and Shelley, was always part of our truths anyway. Go out and you spend time at the water, spend time at the cedar tree, and spend time in this place inside so that we could be a better understanding. When we know this, then we know how to walk in life. And it seems to me as though the life giver, the creator, did these things to us to teach us these lessons again, bring us back to what's important. Because we all know and have shared and at some levels had to participate in the craziness of the way this world has been going, and always not by choice. So to me, it's steering us again in the direction that says, let's help to heal this Mother Earth. And we're going to have to learn it the hard way, right? By big losses, huge losses again. And then having to have people tell us and impose upon us the way we did when I was call it inducing labor, when we would initiate dancers. We had to reteach all those things. Is why we came up with that, the way we initiate today. Because remember, it was just a way of life before, and we would just do it. Then they told us we couldn't do that no more, right? And we had to go underground. Well, then we come back, we're trying to come back to ourselves again. I'm still talking about us as Native people. And through this, we've been here before and done this. Now we're here again and we're doing it again, right? On a much, much bigger scale. That the rest of mainstream society and all around the world have to work too for those same things of coming back to the center. And it begins here with ourselves and those disciplines. I'm here at Little Bear temporarily, and a couple of our residents had been exposed to COVID, and so far they're being told, no, they're not. But they still have to be in isolation. We still have to. Today, Ron and I reached out to one of them. We enjoy seeing him every day. We haven't been able to see him. I said, Ron, we need to go down there and lift up his heart. Let him know we're still here, going to support him. Because he's been pretty much just locked up in that room. And it's like that when we're initiating, but we have people, helpers that come back, and they help to guide, they help to reassure, they help to feed, they encourage and help you to sleep, when to do it, when not to do it. I mean, they really treat you like a baby, right? I can see Father Pat, he's stirred about it. And that's what we want to do, right? Is to wake that spirit back up and move it. Get it moving. It's been dormant too long and fearful too long. It wants to be awake. Wants to be awake. Wants to move. I was sharing before a little bit with individuals. I was hospitalized at the end of August, and I guess I almost died. I say I guess because I don't remember. But the nurses and the doctor, two of them, one of each, came to me after and said, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're still here. Well, gee, for over all year with this health thing I've been going through, couldn't sing, couldn't remember songs, couldn't think of my own song. I couldn't cry. I couldn't sing a tune. I couldn't remember nobody's songs. I thought, to myself, my goodness, Danita, what do you believe in? I kept asking myself, what do you believe in? I kept asking and asking. But while in the hospital, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I was talking stern to myself. What do you believe in, Danita? Pretty soon, bam, there was my song. Just like that. It was right there. Right now, for the first time in over a year. And I sang to myself. And afterwards, I said, I do believe in that. I do know the teachings of my people and what I believe in. Well, that's kind of an extreme of, but it seems as though, as the human beings we are, we have to have the extreme for us to get to that place. I guess in sobriety language, they call it hitting a bottom. Yeah, we must have hit our bottom. Trump must help us get there, you know? I don't know. He's one of those things anyway. But I couldn't help but think and reflect on all of your stories and the parallels of the old people and their teaching, and for us to try to take that right here and heed it and heal it up and give it joy and the happiness and the expression that it's looking for, because spring is going to be coming and we hope it's going to be a new one, right? Preparing for the spring. And I see people getting back to what's important is family and gathering and eating dinner. People finding right forced to have to be at home to teach their children. Oh my God, what a concept, right? We've been asking for this for a long time. Now we're getting it. Not the way we expected, but it's here. It's here. And I hope we remember what we're going to do after this, right? How are we going to do this after? I sure hope we're not going to go back and beat our head against the wall the way we've been doing it, right? And then expect for us to be doing something different. The way we teach has been being questioned for a long time, that it wasn't quite a match for the children and us, the way we need to learn. Sorry, I go through this stuff with this business of my health. Give me 1 second. Ow. My body is trying to heal itself. Every morning I'm getting up and singing. And this home, I have relatives on each side and up above me. And one by one, now they're feeling safer being able to say, I feel better after I hear you sing. Yeah. And we tried to bring some prayer too. Since our late Uncle Jack was here, no one has done prayer at dinner time or at the eating times. So and I've gone a couple times out and we've done a table song, trying to help. But you know, those are the things, you're just reaching out to people trying to do the right things. And we've always done that. We've always done it. I mean, we're not, it's not new to us. It's just us feeling, giving ourselves permission that it's okay to live that life again, to live our way of life. We don't have to continue to keep trying to force ourselves to live that mainstream way. But I've gone on enough, and I'm thankful to each and every one of you, and thankful to this life giver for these lessons to be learned, and I hope we can get it. I hope we get it and hold on to it, not be so willing to let it go. My love to each and every one of you, and thank you for sharing and being in this circle, because that's for sure where we're at. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so
My-
much, Danita.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We too go a long ways back in working for the youth outreach program many years ago in the 80s as well. And I just thank you for the constant support over the years with myself and my family as well on behalf of our family. And just thank you. I'm taken aback by what you said, giving ourselves the permission to be our traditional way.
Be ourselves.
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
who we are.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That is, that's very important. So helpful during this time, during the pandemic. It's a way that we can heal.
Yes, for sure.
And I'm going to go over to Father Pat now. And so glad to see his face. And the internet is blowing up, Father Pat. Seeing you on live stream, it's
Right.
like a miracle.
Thank you,
What do you have
I'm
to
good.
share tonight, Father Pat?
Thank you so
brother.
much.
Yeah. I'm pretty overwhelmed with tears just listening to Anita, and so I feel like we're definitely here on holy ground, and the words are stunning as they come out. I'm just like longhouse or smokehouse fires. They just warm us so deeply, and so I'm so grateful for what I'm learning tonight. And I just wanted to say I feel like we're in a time of extremes. We're at a turning point, and I find that very difficult, but also hopeful. I have friends suffering unbelievably in the hospitals, and it just kills me. This disease is tough, and it's hard. We have them right on the edge of life and death. So, but in the middle of all that, we have hope. I was visiting with a doctor this week, and he was so happy that soon that the whole hospital staff would be getting this vaccine, and that they would be more safe to help the people. And he was so happy about that because they're so vulnerable, and that made me happy too, and to know that actually all the hard work of so many scientists, they're so doctors and nurses have worked so hard night and day to give us a hope of a spring together and a hope of a summer together. And I just want to thank Daryl for keeping this fire going. It's such a consolation, I think, to me, certainly it's big time consolation, but to everyone. See ya.
Thank you so much, Father Pat. Kiyokstaka is the name that he carries. Comes from over the mountains. I believe Colville, right, is what you told me?
In Chilean.
Huh? In Chilean. So great to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
At this time, we're going to go over to our next relative from Tulalip, who's going to share a few words with us. And so glad that she was able to join us tonight, Deborah Parker. And it's great to see her face. It's great to see you, Deborah. And I don't know, what are we doing tonight? Like some days it's we're shutting down pipelines and oil refineries. And then another day we're taking selfies in Washington, D.C. in front of Congress. What are we doing tonight, Deborah?
Hey, CM, Tig wheat seed to each and every one of you, dear relatives. Thank you for, Daryl, thank you for calling me tonight, probably like a few minutes ago. So if you want to know what I was really doing, I'm actually took all of my pots and pans out of my cupboards and put them on the table. I've got way too much, so I'm kind of donate half to a program in Seattle. If I could say the name, not the Labate, I want to say Labatea, yeah, but anyways, I know their young adults need housewares and things. So I just said, excuse me, Father Pat, for this word, but hell, I have a lot. I got a lot of stuff, and it's time to donate. So I'm actually cleaning out and deciding to live with less. And that's going to be definitely more to me, because sometimes we open up the cabinet doors, things fall out, and I don't know what kind of life that is. My kids get mad, I get mad at them, and we want to live a drama-free house. Since we have to be home, we might as well clear out the things that don't bring joy to our lives. And for this Indian woman, that's hard. I'm having a hard time, because so many things were gifts, right? And so many, Helen Fenrich, for those of you who know her, one of our dear elders, she passed away. Boy, it's been maybe a couple of years at least. And I worked with her, and she bought me these pan sets. It's so beautiful. And I'm just like, I can't get rid of them. And then I have to, I'm going to keep those, but there's others that I have. And, I'm going to give it to someone else who it may bring joy to their life. So in this time of COVID, I think it's about clearing out space and getting rid of things that no longer bring you, either bring you joy. Some things we don't need. And so it's time to donate. I've got clothes too I'm going through. I probably took on too many projects right now, but it's been a very humbling 2020 has been very humbling for me personally. And I think for so many people, they felt that my grief came out from losing friends. And I figured, no, I already kind of healed from it. I know I'm hurt, but now that I'm home and I'm not running to work or running to save a pipeline or change Congress, it's time to change myself. And that's the hardest part. Change my thinking and look at my kids. And during this time, they're like, well, mom this, mom that, and they're mad at me for things, and I got to listen. And part of it's like, no, I did the best I could. And some of it's like, well, no, mom, you didn't do this, or so there's areas where it's like, oh man, I've always worked so hard in my life. And I've had to give up that piece that I thought that, I know I'm not a perfect mother, but I've had to just listen to them about, needs that were either met or not met. And so really that's clearing space and acknowledging, forgiving them and forgiving myself. Because sometimes I'm like, no, I love you. I told you I loved you. And I like, well, sometimes you're just, come on, let's go, let's get this done. And I guess that was part of how I coped, and how I cope is not taking that time to heal. And I poured myself into work, and I lost my balance, and trying to find that now. And that's so incredibly humbling for me. And so now I find myself like, okay, I've, cut off a lot of, not entirely social media and things like that, but I've just kind of taken more time for me. And that to me seems, that's difficult for me, you know, because we have to look at what's difficult for us. And that's like looking within. And I figured I did that through other areas, but apparently my kids told me I didn't. And then my son, Cedar, says, well, mom, don't you, sorry. My son says, Mom, don't you love yourself? And I was like, oh, yeah. And he looked at me, Mom. And whew, it just hit me like a ton of bricks is, wow, I got to back up a little bit and take some healing time and really self-reflect here. And self-reflecting, man, that's painful. That's like, you know, especially, I don't know, for all of you on this call who work so hard and give so much of yourself to others, to take that moment to go to that cedar tree or go to the water and just leave the pain, leave the grief. And I think for me, understanding grief has been the most difficult part of this journey for myself. And I know others because I'm speaking with my friends about that too. How are you, how are you grieving? And I think rather than cry, I put myself into other things. And so I'm now giving myself permission to feel the pain and to go through those pieces of the pain and then remind myself I'm okay, and to find that healing and to wake up and find gratitude now in things like a full what do you call it, toothpaste, a whole tube of toothpaste, or just the small things in life. Just find a gratitude in each thing, each moment that I can, and retrain myself. And I'm just sharing that's like the COVID piece for me. And I know for so many of us during this time of isolation, it feels like isolation. But as we know, we're not alone. And I don't know how I've been operating, thinking sometimes I'm alone. And I have so many beautiful friends and family and beautiful Vendiolas and Father Pat and the Hilairs and all the family all around us. We're family. And there's much more too. There's much more medicine, as was mentioned, the Akpaya, the cedar. The deer is around all of this. And I've been outside. I sat by the fire the other night and just give thanks for creation. Thanks for slowing us down so we could see the beauty, not only within ourselves, but around us. So just want to share that. That's been in this deep healing. It is not easy, dang it. I need a therapist. But thank you for having me, and I just send my prayers to each and every one of you.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I really appreciate that very candid moment, just heartfelt thoughts that you shared. And the thing that it makes me think of, and our family talks about this a lot, being involved with education the way that we are and going off to school. And my brother Randy frequently talks about this, about being a warrior when you step out of your home and your home community. And we've seen you do that. We've seen you all over doing that good work. And it is challenging because you are on your own. You have to figure out how to rely on yourself on how to do that. And so I can acknowledge what you're saying, and it takes a lot of courage, to not carry everything on your shoulders, or not, feel like you're the only one, or who's going to do this, if I don't, or when one of our elders passes away, we feel that burden immediately. Who's going to do that? Who's going to take their place? And so I really feel for what you said tonight, and appreciate you sharing, because I've seen since way back, all the things that you've been doing in almost every you're like a Renaissance person. You do a little bit. Do you know how to make fry bread? Okay, that means you're true native Renaissance. I really appreciate that, and I think I like that idea where you summon the great words of Marie Kondo. Does this bring me joy? And we've been doing that too here at our house because we have to stay in, and there's so much stuff that something had to go, and we gave a lot of stuff. We put out a table in front of our house, and we just started putting stuff there and said free, and every day folks came and took it, and we just that was the only way we could. There's stuff that was really still usable. We didn't want to just throw it away, and we didn't know if we don't know if because of COVID whether we can donate it and those kind of things, but you would clean it off. First we dust it off and then clean it off and make it sure it's sanitary, and then put it out there. But yeah, does this bring me joy? And I really appreciate what you said about changing yourself. This is also opportunity as we're spending time together, to change ourselves and really reflect inward, listening and clearing space and forgiving others and forgiving yourself and healing and regaining balance. Those are such beautiful things, that you said. So I thank you for that. And we're about ready to go into the question and answer. And I'm not sure if that, I've been looking at the live stream a little bit and pulled some ideas off of there, but if certainly anybody can share questions or thoughts or ideas. But we have one of our relatives from Upper Skagit, Kathy Westcott, is tuned in on the live stream, and she made a comment really, but it's a question that kind of refers to what Shelley and my mom are doing. She said that she's been staying with her mother during this time, and it gives her a lot of peace to be with her right now. And I know Mom and Shelley have been doing that, but for the rest of you, whomever you've been staying with or staying with you, and any thoughts or ideas of how you guys make it work, and how I know that we did the live stream and those types of things, but other things that you might share with your family, like how you're making it from day to day, would be great to hear. And anybody can tune in. We got Barb Stills on here, and Father Pat Tui, Danita. I saw Ron as well. Really appreciate what you shared, Danita, about at Little Bear as well. Going and spending time with the ones that are not doing so well.
So, Michael, I'd like to respond to Deborah, and thank you for talking about the honesty and the open and the willingness to take care of yourself, take care of your house, clean up your own house, which is your own body, which is your kids, which is your physical space. So all of those things are really important about what brings us joy. And so I absolutely appreciate that. Parenting and becoming teachers and becoming full-time workers all presented challenges for every family in the area. So you had to learn how to not only be a teacher, but be a parent and be a full-time employee. So those are really not easy for us. One of the things that for me, and I've always been into fitness this last year or so, because I had some medical issues, I had to kind of slow down. But since COVID, one of the things that Lummi did is a walking club. And since I'm not in a place where I could go jogging anymore, I'm at 189 miles, almost at that 200-mile mark. I have very seldom not gone outside and walked. And it really has been joy for me, and it's been good for my body and my own temple and my own house. As we talk about cleaning up our house, that going outside and walking, in the beginning I was doing maybe 3 times a week, and I might be doing 1 to 3 miles. I'm going 6 days a week. I'm going 5 to 6 miles a day. And You know, it has brought so much joy because I forgot how good that makes me feel to be outside, to take care of my body, to do that, and making the commitment that, you know, I just had to make that commitment. So I really hear when you had talked about cleaning up your space. It's that temple. Your body is your temple, and how do we take care of that? So thank you.
Thank you so much, Barb.
Wanted to also just offer, love you, Danita, love you, Deborah, love you, Barb, love you all. It's a really challenging time when we are facing the unknown. And I just wanted to share a little bit about something that happened to me. And it's not happened very many times, but it has happened. And it's usually when I feel like I'm working really hard and I'm doing the best I can and I'm really just giving it all my all. And then suddenly you look in the mirror and you're stunned. And you really can't just put your finger on it, but you're sort of stunned to the point of being immobile. And then suddenly all these emotions come flooding in and you don't know whether to laugh or to cry or to bow down on the ground or just, you know, it takes your all just to keep breathing. Those moments, and I don't know if you've ever had those moments, but they're kind of really scary. And that happened to me recently, and my emotions just got the best of me, and I just had to be in that safe place I was talking about. And so I drove to the island, and I drove to a place that has a lot of driftwood, and you can hear the waves, and it's just so gentle sounding. And I just had to sit there. And I sat there for a good half a day, a few hours, just sitting there and just letting it all come out. And then I started doing what Mom and I knew, we just start these new things together, because time is precious. Most precious gift you can give to another is your time, kind of a thing. And I've heard Mom say that many times. And so that's a teaching, the most precious gift you can give another is your time. And I found myself letting it all go, and leaving it at that place, and then we've been picking up these heart rocks, we call them heart rocks, but there's these rocks that are shaped kind of like hearts by nature. And some of them kind of actually look like little triangles upside down, but really,
Not mine.
the heart, the heart rocks are lining our new garden, our new flower garden that we're growing. And hopefully it'll be even more bountiful come spring. But it's those little intentions, I think, that kind of brought me back and helped ground me again. And like knowing that I've dedicated a lot of the flowers that I've been planting to some of our ancestors. There's one for Dad that just kind of bloomed multiple times. It's just so beautiful. And it's that connection that we have to our ancestors and to the natural world that I'm talking about that really helps with that healing process. And so, I don't know, I just thought of that place that I went to, and that feeling of helplessness, that feeling of being overwhelmed, and what we do to take care of ourselves first, so I can come back and be with Mom and be tender and gentle and kinder. But first I had to do that with myself to get to that place. And sometimes we just have to do that. Sometimes we just have to let it go, and we can't control it. We just go with the flow. And so I've been practicing a lot of, how do I go with the flow? Well, first, how do I keep going? And then how do I go with the flow in that going? Because I don't know. I've never lived in this like many of us. you know, I can remember that there was an influenza, and I can remember the tuberculosis. I can remember the stories of my grandmother that spent a lot of her teen years in Cushman Hospital, but she survived, right? And so we know that we have that in us to keep going and to adapt in the best way we know how. And right now, I feel like we're in these pandemics, one being Corona and the other being the politics, and then the third being the climate crises, and that they're kind of interrelated. Actually, they're very interrelated. And if we can keep those things in perspective, one thing that I feel really blessed about is to live with mom, you know, and to spend time with her, learning and her sharing her memories and her stories. And also another I think about is the responsibility and the obligation that we carry to the earth and to all our relatives, really. And that kind of just makes me even more enthused about keeping going. And sometimes I feel like I can get pissed off, and that's what's going to motivate me, the anger that's going to motivate me to keep fighting for what I believe in, which is really to protect our first mother, the earth, the first teachers, the trees, and things like that. And so I think that having that ability to contribute, you know, and to really try the best we can to do what we are responsible for. And everyone will see that in a different way, but that's what helps me, is to remember what I'm responsible for doing, why I'm still able to breathe, you know, although I do have sinus issues, but I can still breathe, you know, without the mask on. It's even better. But so my suggestion is, yes, if we could just treat our masks like life preservers and be compassionate to ourselves first, because, you know, we're protecting ourselves, but to everyone we come in contact with when we have that mask on, if we have to go out. And I know I have to go out daily. That's my confession. I have to leave this house daily. Most of the time it's going on a long drive or to the walk that we take. Mom and I go on our daily walks, whether rain or shine. If it's too cold, you know, we'll stay close to home. Used to be that, you know, in the winter, we just go to the mall and walk around inside because, you know, but now it's like we have to hurry quickly, walk around the ball field right down the street. But, you know, we just do the best we can. And so, yeah, we don't know, and we're just adapting. We're just doing the best we can to adapt. And I like what you were saying about remembering who we are, remembering those teachings, remembering our connection. And that's really grounding for me. And I'm finding that I have to be grounded a lot in this time. So that's why I'm practicing daily, and I'm making time. It's self-care. I'm making time to do self-care. I'm making time to figure out how much time do I really need to spend on this technology before it starts affecting me physically and mentally. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out because I'm constantly trying to figure out technology, and it's changing ever so fast. So I'm really thankful for people like Michael that kind of get it a lot better and that can help us to navigate this space, because this is really a different reality. But I'm glad that we can use some of what we know and some of what our ancestors left for us in this virtual space. And that too is what I'm doing. You know, like when we talk about the sacred circle in this space, even though it doesn't look like a circle, it's still that ancient knowledge that helps me. So I really appreciate everything that you all had to share, and love you all. Just know that I can't wait to see you in person again. I have something for you, Danita, I've been holding on to.
Where is it? She's saying, where is it? Oh, well. Thank you for that. I know Daryl was going to say he was going to invent a Zoom that can go in a circle instead of squares, because we always look like Hollywood squares on here. But thank you so much, Shelley, for sharing that. And I know we're getting close to the ending time here. I wanted to share some of the comments from the live stream. My relative Harold Joseph from Tulalip, he posted that it's really good words, Debbie. I think we need to get our children to unload all the stuff they carry and reflect on what is important and not. So, and he says, thank you for that. So thank you for those good words. And once again, our Upper Skagit relative, Kathy Westcott, more about her story. This time with my mom has been so healing for me. She's 85 and I'm now 67. I live a long way from her, but I came here in April and we went for walks all summer and talked and looked at trees and picked up rocks. She's braver than me and really helped me not to be so afraid. And I'm not so afraid for myself, but afraid for the world. And so we're thanking, all of our panelists for sharing such good words, and it's obviously making a good impact for those who are tuning in. And I want to thank everyone who's on here tonight, and just greatly appreciate you helping us in the work that the Northwest Indian Health Board is doing in sponsoring these programs about COVID-19 and the coronavirus, and protecting one another, and how we're addressing and supporting one another to stay safe. And next week we're going to have another program, so we want to make sure that folks are able to tune in. And we're going to have TJ Adams, our relative from Lummi, who's going to be our host. From up in Nooksack. We're going to have Lawrence Bailey, our Nooksack singers, and Lana Johnson, who's on the council there, as well as Dr. Frank James, who's going to share his perspective. Great person if you're friends with him on Facebook. He gives a lot of good information about COVID-19 in not only nationally, worldwide, but also local. So it'd be worth to check out his Facebook if you're able. But once again, we just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in, and say hi shkasiyam, and we wish everyone a safe journey as we go along in this pandemic. And I'm going to turn it over to our closing song with the Toby clan, Noah Toby and his crew, who opened up for us, and they're going to close us out tonight. So thank you so much. Have a good evening, everyone. We'll see you next week.
We're going to do a happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. I forgot about that. We got to sing one more happy when you see the big banner behind my mom that says happy birthday. So it's horrible to do it over Zoom, but we're going to try anyways. So I'm looking around, and got to make sure that everybody's microphone is not muted. So we want to hear everybody's voice, because then it's just me. All right, 1, 2, ready, go.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Diane.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. And that goes out to all of our.
Thank you. Thank you. I was telling Father Pat a couple months ago, I say my prayers every night. I say, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And Father Pat was silent for a moment. And then he said, I think you have all the bases covered. I think that's what he meant by being in the big league.
Thank you.
The tried and true prayer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you so
Love
much,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Good job, everybody.
Oh.
Oh